talk about gray coverage. So remember when I was talking to you about the neutrals and the naturals? We have our neutrals and our naturals.
Yeah.
Now this helps with coverage, depending on what fashion shade. So a fashion shade is going to be any tone in TG copyright color that is not a neutral or a natural.
The 6-1 cover better, right?
Well, it just depends on what we're looking
Yes.
for. So now we're going to talk about what is going to cover what and how.
Oh.
Okay, so better is not, I mean, better is relative because it's all going to cover the way that it's intended. But for guests, when they want something and they're like, I don't want to see anything that looks like white. Okay, I'm going to use my neutral on that guest.
Yeah.
Because I want it to cover all the way. It's going to be more of a radiant uniform coverage. But someone who's like, I want some sparkle. I still want to see, like, I want it to look, you know, a little more multi-dimensional, like we were talking about. We're going to use our natural because this is going to give, the over zero is going to give more of that finish, right? So when we're mixing with any of our fashion shades, somebody who wants to add more red tones, if we're adding red, we're going to use 3/4 of that red to 1/4 of our neutral or natural. So if I'm using red, I'm going to use naturals. Unless I'm using like maybe red violet. Maybe I can use our neutral.
Especially when they have gray hair.
Right. But if we're using more coppery tones, I'm going to use our natural.
Yeah.
And they have gray hair. Because we're talking about coverage here.
Yeah.
And that's like 50% or more.
What's the difference between blending and coverage?
So the difference between blending and coverage is blending is going to give that soft blend where it's not going to fully cover it. The line of demarcation isn't going to be there. You're not going to see like a stark line throughout the grow out. And the coverage is going to cover that hair. You're not going to see it. You could see some of it depending on how you mix your colors if that's what you desire. Right? So if we want to see some of that coverage, we can still cover the hair and get that multi-reflectional look. So, the other way that we could do that, if we really want to get like an intense coverage, we can do 3/4 of our fashion shade and 1/4 of our neutral and natural, one level darker. So we're only going one level darker for 1/4 of our formula. And that's just going to deepen it a little bit and give it that oomph for that coverage. Right? And that's if we want to just go a little bit deeper and a little bit more of an intense tone. We're still not going to use heat. We're using 1 to 1.5, 20 volume, 35 to 45 minutes. So the way, you remember how we had our sheer, our blended, our saturated, our multi-dimensional, and our uniform.
Yeah.
That is the order of which that it appears for the coverage from the lightest to the most intense. So a radiant uniform coverage is going to be the most coverage that we're going to be able to achieve. And it's going to give us that really great uniform look to where our clients are going to be the most satisfied for the coverage if they don't want to see anything. Okay?